Hello again everyone. We're back out in the van and carrying on with this shower room restoration. Restoration? Refurbishment? Refit? Whatever we've called it, I don't know. So the first thing to do, I reckon, is to give the inside of the cubicle just a very sort of cursory wipe over. I don't want to flood the thing with water, of course, because I've just removed all the seals. But I think sort of a wipe down with a sort of a dampish cloth with a bit of cleaning stuff on it will do no harm, really. And make sure we've got a nice surface to stick our cladding onto. Right, what's next then, boy? Shall we show them the cladding? Yeah, alright then. Well, you saw me unpack this cladding when it arrived the other day. It's from a company called Saniclad. I'll put a link to their website in the description. I don't know if I recommend it yet because I haven't tried to use it yet. It's very similar to the White Rock system, which I've used before in labs and things. Haven't put it on personally, but I've certainly had it put on the walls in labs, and it seems to work very well. And that's made by Altro. That's kind of like the proper branded building industry version, I suppose. This, I think, is also good stuff. I've had a look at the installation video on their website, and it's very much aimed at a commercial installer. They use a sort of plastered on adhesive, and they show sort of cladding a pretty large wall. So it's of limited use really for the purpose that I'm doing it. So I'll be kind of making it up a little bit as I go along. This is the stuff I've got for sticking it up. Multi-purpose adhesive sealant, polymer adhesive sealant. So hopefully that'll do the trick. And I've got two kind of profiles for edging. I've got this sort of end cap type edging, and I've got this coved corner type edging. Well, the first thing I think we need is some sort of flat working surface to cut this on. So I think the only thing we can do really is to lay some boards on the sawing horses. Could really do with a bigger workshop. Anyway, the first thing I want to do is cut the panel for the ceiling, because I think that's a good place to start the ceiling. And I'm going to measure it up and allow 2mm each side for expansion as per the instructions. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure for this angled piece as well. It does say on the website that you can bend the sheet with a little bit of heat. You can form a bend, and on the video it showed them actually bending it completely double back on itself, so that seemed quite flexible. Now they had a proper line bender to do it, but I'm gonna have to try and do it with the heat gun, so that may not be successful. It may be successful, I don't know. Let's have a go. So these are my sizes. This is obviously the main part of the ceiling. That's that sort of angled down stand bit. And these are the sizes with that 2mm each side allowance. So let's see if we can cut that out. Now the manufacturer's video showed them cutting it out with one of these sort of nibbling jigsaw things. Well, I haven't got one of them. So what I'm going to try is a circular saw, but I'm going to cut with the bottom face facing upwards, so the teeth of the saw are always cutting into the fair face of the board from underneath. Hopefully that will work and I won't get too many chips breaking out. If you do this sort of thing, it's better to set the saw blade only fractionally below the surface of the board you're cutting, so that the blade is coming in at an angle and not coming out of the board too much and diving back in, because that's when you get the big chips breaking out the back. Well, that has produced a reasonable cut edge. Bit of a wobble at this end, unfortunately. It wasn't the easiest thing to do in this cramped garage. I recommend, if you're going to do this, get yourself a much bigger workshop. Anyway, let's carry on. So I think the next thing to do is to try to put that bend in, because we need to know if that works or not. And if it doesn't work, we don't want to waste a load of other time cutting all the other holes and bits and pieces we need in this board. So I'm going to try that next with the hot air gun, and I'll probably clamp. What I'll do is I'll score the back of the board, so the other side of this, with a Stanley knife along the line that I want to bend, and that'll give it something to open up slightly. I'm not going to score it deeply, but just enough to maybe help guide that. And then I'll clamp a piece of timber along there, then heat it up along that line with the heat gun and just bend it up a little bit. I'll also set an angle guide, a sort of adjustable square thing, to the rough angle I want, and probably maybe bend it a little bit beyond that so it's got a little bit of spring back. Anyway, we'll see. Well, remember the old saying, measure twice, cut once? Well, I measured once and I'm going to have to cut twice because I've made it the wrong size. Somehow I managed to write down a wrong number, or I've actually interpreted what I had down as a 0 as a 6. So instead of making it 1058 millimeters long, I've made it 1658 millimeters long, which is okay because it's too long, so I can cut it down. Right. Yeah, let's carry on. Now personally, I'm blaming my supervisor's lack of diligence for that little mistake. Yeah, you. Right, let's try again with this bending then. Well, that's not a terrible fit. I did have to relax it a little bit again because I bent it too far, as you might have spotted, but I'm okay with this, I think. Now I'm going to pop back in the van and measure the positions of that hole for the electrical cabling for the light and the hole for the vent. Well, there we go. There's my measurements, and I have checked them twice, so fingers crossed. This is obviously the ventilation hatch thing, and this is the little hole I need to cut for the electrics. Now, I'm not having a very good day because look what I've done. I've drilled that hole on the wrong side of that line for some stupid reason. So, yeah, that's not good. So I've offered that piece up to the ceiling and drawn around the hole just to see if it was covered by the overlap of this vent, and it's not. But what I could do is I could make another fillet to go round because I don't think I've got enough of that cladding to cut another piece out. I might have, but I don't think I have. Right, I'm going to carry on cutting that out, and then I'm going to cut an extra piece. You'll see what I mean when I do it, just to hide that, and that will become a charming feature, and nobody will ever know except you. Well, it's going to be quite tricky to hold that sheet up onto the ceiling to stick it up, so I'm going to make myself up a couple of dead men to help me hold it up there until the glue dries. Well, there we go. They should help me to hold the board nice and tight to the ceiling when I glue it up there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the adhesive just on this flat surface first. I'm not going to worry about gluing this angled bit. I'm going to fix the top bit, let it set, and then I'm going to squirt up some of the sealant behind that angled bit, and I might have to ease it a little bit with the hot air gun just to get it to lay flat, because it's still not quite at the right angle. So that's the plan anyway. Oh, well, that's had a good chance to dry now, and now I'm just going to get the hot air gun on that angled bit, because it's not quite at the right angle. So I just want to get it so it's pliable again and just force it to the right angle, and then I can stick that bit on. Now, I've also got for the bathroom this new light that I ordered off eBay. It's actually quite a bit smaller than I thought it would be, but I think which should be okay. Let's connect it up and see what it looks like. Now, who can remember which colour wires went where? Yeah, you got it. The red wire goes onto the green wire, and the black goes onto that cream one, or at least that's how the other one come out. Lovely! Well, time's marched on again, and it's time to pack away. So I'll catch up with you again when we carry on with this next time. Well, that's all for now. If you enjoyed it, press like, subscribe if you want to see some more, and ring the bell to be notified when we upload something new.